If you would have just ordered Paisley to stop defying me and quit questioning my decisions.
Piper, Skye corrected. How many times do I have to tell you her name is Piper?
Who in the hell names their kid something like that?
Homer rolled his eyes.
Is her father the Pied Piper of Hamelin or something?
Really? At your age, you've never heard of the actress Piper Laurie? Skye raised her brows in question, but when Homer didn't respond, she said, Whatever. It's a pretty name and it's hers, so remember it. This was exactly why Skye and her husband Wally were having such a hard time selecting names for their twins. The babies were going on 5 weeks old, and they still hadn't agreed on what to call them, a fact that had made it very difficult to leave the hospital. The nurses had driven Skye and Wally nuts, trying to get them to choose names and fill out the paperwork. They'd practically had to sneak out of the place to take the babies home without naming them. Skye's mother, May, and Wally's father, Carson, weren't too happy with them either. But both Skye and Wally were adamant that they wouldn't rush into naming their babies. The names had to be perfect, just like the twins.
Yeah, right.
Homer waved his hand as he reached for the phone and punched the intercom button.
Find Parker and have her report to my office PDQ.
Piper, Skye reminded him again, her palm itching to slap him. Or you could call her Ms. Townsend. Homer ignored Skye as he ate his donut and drank his coffee. She checked to see if she was drooling. She'd been in such a rush to get to the school she hadn't eaten lunch, and her daughter had managed to tip over Skye's bowl of cereal during breakfast. When her stomach growled for the 3rd time, she decided she no longer cared what Homer thought and said, Thank you, yes, I would like a pastry. She got to her feet and walked over to the credenza. Coffee would be lovely, too. She sorted through the basket of pods until she found a decaf, then popped it into the machine and pushed the blinking button.
Make yourself at home,
Homer groused.
Should I get you a footstool?
Before a snarky reply could leave Skye's lips, a petite young woman slipped into the room. Piper Townsend might have been 25, but she could have easily passed as a middle schooler. Piper's youthful appearance had worried Skye when she'd originally interviewed her. She'd wondered if Piper might be intimidated by some of the larger high school boys. Now Skye realized that she should have been more concerned about the intern being bullied by the administration. She glanced at Skye, then slid her gaze to Homer and said, You asked for me, sir?
Don't act so damn coy.
Homer narrowed his beady little eyes. Considering the contrast to the size of his enormous head, they looked like raisins in a bowl of oatmeal. Or maybe poppy seeds in a block of suet. I'm not, sir. Piper edged toward one of the empty chairs, then sat down.
You sure as hell weren't this sweet when you told me off in front of that parent,
Homer bellowed, then turned his angry stare at Skye.
You need to teach her to be more respectful of administration.
I'm sure Piper expressed her opinion in a courteous and professional manner. Skye took the remaining available seat and glanced at the intern. She might have been young and inexperienced, but so far Skye had found her extremely sharp and good at her job. Isn't that correct? Absolutely. Piper nodded, her fingers nervously pleating the skirt of her gray suit. I asked to speak to him in private, but he refused, and I couldn't let him just send that poor woman away.
It was none of your dang business, Homer sputtered. You shouldn't have interfered. Now we'll never get rid of her or her brats.
Brats? Piper popped up from her chair, her ivory cheeks as pink as her ruffled blouse. She glared at Homer. What kind of educator are you to call children that? Okay, time to settle down. Skye tugged the young woman back into her seat and said, Homer is going to tell us his perception of the incident, and then you're going to tell us yours. And neither one of you is going to interrupt the other. Skye shot them both a take-no-prisoners look, then bit into her Bismarck and waited. When Homer remained silent, she motioned for him to begin.
This woman comes waltzing in right when the first bell was ringing.
Homer lumbered up from his desk and loomed over Skye.
She claimed her kids had gone to school here before, but I sure as hell didn't remember them, and Opal couldn't find any trace of them in our records.
Homer reminded Skye of the ogre in those animated movies.